Okay, so you send over this news report, pretty tough one actually, from the Jamaica Star, April 2nd, 2025.
Yeah, it's quite unsettling.
The headline alone, 6-year-old girl assaulted by older student. It's about an alleged incident at a primary school in Kingston, Jamaica. Involves an 11-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl.
Right.
So for this deep dive, I think our goal is really just to get clear on the key facts as presented in this report and look at the immediate reaction.
Exactly. It immediately makes you think about, well, school safety, doesn't it? These spaces should be safe, nurturing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's crucial. We just carefully look at what the article says and what steps were taken right away, because it's deeply troubling.
Okay, let's unpack it then. The report says the alleged assault happened March 11th.
Hmm.
So that's what, a few weeks before the article came out?
Yeah, about 3 weeks.
And the location. An empty classroom. After school?
Mm.
Wow. It's hard to picture.
It really is. And, it kind of suggests maybe a gap in supervision or, whatever security should be there, even briefly.
Yeah, potentially.
But what seems clear from the start is that the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA, they got involved really quickly.
Yes, right.
Which, that signals how seriously they're taking it.
The article uses the phrase full-scale investigation launched very soon after it was reported. And something that struck me was the immediate support mentioned for the little girl.
Ah, yes.
Placed in the care of the Ministry of Justice's Victim Services Division for counseling, psychological support. That sounds like, well, exactly the right first step.
Absolutely vital. Immediate appropriate support. That's critical for any child who's gone through something traumatic like this. In child protection work, these early interventions, they can make a huge difference long term. The focus isn't just on figuring out what happened, but making sure the child gets the care they need to even begin processing it.
Right. Right. And, okay, what about the other child involved, the 11-year-old boy? The article mentions he's below the age of criminal responsibility, which is a specific legal thing, I gather. So instead of, the usual legal process, he's been referred to the Child Guidance Clinic at UWI, University of the West Indies, for psychological intervention.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more? Age of criminal responsibility.
Sure. So basically it means there's an age threshold. Below that age, a child isn't considered legally accountable for actions that, would be a crime if an adult did them.
Okay.
The legal system essentially recognizes that kids below a certain age might not fully grasp their actions or the consequences. So the focus shifts, It's less about punishment and more about understanding what's going on with the child, addressing any underlying issues through support, like the psychological assessment and intervention they mentioned for this boy.
Ah, okay.
It prioritizes trying to help and rehabilitate rather than just punitive measures for kids under that age.
That makes sense. A different approach entirely. It does make you think about, well, what kind of support he might need, too, in this whole situation.
Indeed.
Now, there's a quote in here from Lorette Adams Thomas, the CPFSA CEO. She said, "We are deeply troubled by this incident, as schools should be looked at as a safe haven for students, and not one where they should be vulnerable to being sexually abused, especially not by their fellow students." That really hits home, doesn't it?
It really does. That statement just underlines this basic expectation we all have, right? Schools are supposed to be safe, protective.
Yeah.
And when something happens that potentially breaks that trust, like this alleged incident, it understandably causes huge concern. It makes everyone question the systems, the safeguards that are meant to be in place.
It absolutely does. Makes you wonder about protocols, maybe, for after school. How could this happen in an empty classroom? But of course, this is just an initial report.
Exactly.
There are probably a lot more details still to come out as the investigation goes on.
Precisely. This report gives us those first, crucial, publicly known facts. It shows the authorities responding, immediately supporting the victim, and addressing the situation with the older boy, considering his age.
So, if we're summarizing the key points from this article, alleged assault, March 11th, 6-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, Kingston Primary School. CPFSA investigation is underway. The girl is getting support from victim services. The boy's been referred for psychological help because of his age.
Right.
And the CPFSA head emphasized schools needing to be safe havens and expressed, deep concern.
Yeah, that's a good, concise summary of what the Jamaica Star reported. Gives us that baseline understanding of the immediate situation.
It's definitely very concerning. And while the article covers the immediate response, the official actions, it kind of pushes you to think bigger picture, doesn't it?
It does.
Like thinking beyond just these actions, what sort of broader, maybe societal things could even contribute to something like this happening in a school?
That's a really important question.
And I don't know, what other questions does this raise for you about just general child safety, well-being in communities?
Those are the critical follow-up thoughts, aren't they? Because understanding the immediate response is one thing, but looking at that broader context, that's where we start thinking about prevention, about long-term solutions. It
Yeah.
forces us to consider all the different influences, maybe vulnerabilities that exist out there in communities, and how they might impact kids' safety, everywhere, including schools.
Hmm.
That sort of deeper thinking is really vital if we want to move past just reacting after something happens and actually work towards creating safer environments for all kids,